with this world that we're living in today, it's unfortunate that I'm not even going to say most people, I'm going to say it's a narrative and a directive that's kind of being forced upon us. But having that agree to disagree
Mm,
ability is being wiped out,
mm,
right?
mhm.
And our the way that things are being promoted to us. um if you don't agree with somebody on their agenda or anything, then you can't be friends.
Mhm.
We're all humans, we're all entitled to think and believe and go in a direction that we feel best for ourselves.
Yeah.
And there's going to be things that you and I don't agree on as we go through this journey as well,
Mhm.
right? That's great.
Yeah.
We can talk about it. I can learn about where you're coming from on your side of something, you learn where I'm coming from on my side of it.
Oh yeah.
We can agree to disagree, but it doesn't stop us from being friends and moving forward.
Mhm.
And in fact, it's something that we can grow stronger from, because maybe you're coming at it from a viewpoint that I haven't thought of, or vice versa. It's how we learn and how we grow,
Oh yeah. That's what
right?
I that's what helped me gain more clarity in everything I was researching was like look at the opposite side that says the opposite thing, right? Because you have two different stories that are claiming to be true, and when you read both sides, there's always some overlap. And so it's
Mhm.
like, oh, I was like, that overlap is absolute truth. And then the other stuff is like, well, it depends on certain varying factors and stuff. So yeah, the spirit of not being narrow minded, right? And looking at all the objectives. And when you've gone through that whole narrative, both sides, then you can come to a deeper understanding of how each side got there and then make your own opinion or assumption based on all the data. So, yeah.
And if you take the opinion and understand what's driving the opinion,
That's true. Yeah.
right? And that's where is you and I go through this journey with what we're doing here. If we just base the opinion on fact, it takes the emotion out of the opinion,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So it takes the I believe, it takes the my opinion, it takes all of the potential ego
Mm-hmm.
out of the conversation to base it on foundation,
Yes.
right? And then what you do going forward with that foundation is your right to do so. But at least like there's this whole political left side right side of things. We won't get into that.
Oh,
But
oh, that's a big tangent right there.
if we just take it down right to you know right to the baseline, and then we build up from the baseline, then we can also build an opinion on hopefully what is the rock, and not a sandy viewpoint to something,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if you and I take that mindset in everything that we explore and everything that we talk about and everything we do with this,
Mm-hmm.
then we're always coming back to a common ground.
Mm-hmm. I love it.
And I think we can help educate a lot of people with this, and positively influence some lives, which is all we want to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, I am so excited about this. Like it's just I I've been wanting to, get this stuff out. Like, like how you mentioned, it's just like, we're sitting in on all this information at such a pivotal time in our world, right? Like the world needs to know about this, about how to educate themselves, right? And how to have that moment of revelation where they can just flip the script in this whole pandemic, and
Totally.
the way the fear is trying to navigate things to a certain way. So I'm just like, all right, now's the time. This is a divine connection right here. And I'm ready to hit the ground running. Let's go.
Sure. And that's the other cool part to this is there's so many people taking to Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and all this kind of stuff, building a following based on their opinion.
Opinions. Yep.
And unfortunately, there's the conservative side of opinions, there's the non-conservative side of opinions, but it boils down to opinions, right? You know, I think, I feel, this is going to happen, that's going to happen, you know, so and so saying this. Like, if we stay just raw and rooted to the truth and the facts, then at least we know we're presenting something as real as we possibly can.
Yeah.
You know, and there's going to be subjects that we cover as we go forward that may be a little bit slippery as far as where those goes.
Yeah.
You know, I would love to do a piece on the creation of Big Pharma and
Whoa.
and what that looked like. And I've written papers on it and studied it heavily. That will come, you know, if we look at the how we're moving forward with this, and we're properly going to educate people, then we need to educate them on the facts, right? Like, what led the decisions to become what we live with today. And I don't want to present that as, you know, we've got a bone to pick with Big Pharma, or we've got a, you know, a mission or a mandate to seek and destroy any sort of body that's out there. No. Let's just look at the facts on how they rolled out, you know, and we'll touch base on this in, you know, as we go forward. But you know, if we look at what led the Rockefellers to create Big Pharma, what they did with the Flexner report, like we'll put it together in a piece that's educational, informative, not damning and destructive. But here it is.
Yeah.
Here are the facts, and people can do with what they want. But that's really important to understand the transitional period for people, because if we're going to tear into a natural discussion, and we're going to tear into what switched the consumer mindset from growing gardens, you know, the marketplace mentality as it used to be, you know, even to our grandparents' generation, right? Where it was a lot more farm to plate, right? Well, what led to that transition? You know, what was the convenience factor? What was the financial motivators to, you know, to change our whole society's way of living? So if we explore that a little bit, we'll realize why we went from nice healthy meal to melodroxatonin. Sorry to pick on Hamburger Helper, but it's just what I've got in front of me here today. So you know, if we explore these things, and then we understand what the root and the creation process of what got us here today, then we're just opening eyes, right? And creating a good narrative and a good directive of understanding.